About 2,000 years ago, a philosopher named Epictetus saw that people feel heavy and troubled because they worry about too many things. But he didn't say to stop caring altogether. Instead, he believed in caring about the important stuff and not holding on to things that don't matter. Epictetus thought that what's important and what's not depends on us, being smart beings in a world that always changes. He explained this idea through a key part of his work called the dichotomy of control. Some things we can control and some we can't. When we focus on what we can control, we become strong, but when we ignore these things and focus on what we can't control, we become weak. If we stick too much to things we can't control, we end up suffering a lot. So, what are these things we cling to, and why should we let go of them? Epictetus said that outside things can only hurt us if we hold onto them too tightly. He gives an example of going into exile, saying that being exiled doesn't prevent him from going with a smile, nor from being cheerful and calm. But if he had held onto the idea that being sent away from home was a big tragedy, or if he clung to his things and the people he left behind, he would have felt very sad and hurt. Epictetus understood that he couldn't decide if he'd be sent away, but he could decide how to feel about it, so he focused on staying cheerful and calm, not worrying about the things beyond his control. He believed that if we focus only on what we can manage and let go of the rest, nothing from the outside can harm us. Now, the big question is, what can we control and what can't we? Epictetus said we control our thoughts, actions, what we want, and what we avoid. But we don't control our bodies, belongings, reputation, or power. In simple terms, we can't control the outside world, but we can control how we act and respond to it. Epictetus didn't say we shouldn't care about anything. He believed in living a good life based on nature, which is completely within our control. But he warned against holding on to what's not in our control because those things are unreliable. We often find joy in pursuing pleasures from the outside world, but these things are temporary. When we cling to them, losing them hurts. Sadly, what we gain or lose is often up to luck. So, if we tie our happiness to things we can't control, luck controls our happiness. That's why it's crucial to let go of things we can't control if we want to feel strong and steady. Epictetus gives us ways to do this, emphasizing the power of our minds and downplaying things beyond our thoughts. He advised us not to cling to possessions, people, or power. It's human to get attached, but sometimes we mistake attachment for love. We feel great when someone we like is around, but it hurts terribly when they leave. What's even sadder is that we often suffer the loss of someone in our minds before it even happens. Clinging onto someone or something means we keep feeling hurt because we're scared of losing them, even though separation is bound to happen eventually. Sometimes, we get so obsessed with the fear of losing things that our whole lives start revolving around, preventing that separation. The same goes for power. The old Greek philosopher Epictetus said that power always leaves you wanting more. When people get power, they often want even more, and this leads to problems. Those who are controlled by power have caused a lot of sadness because they never want to let it go, and that brings a lot of stress. But here's the strange part: even though power seems like control, it's not something we can control ourselves. It can be given or taken away at any time. Trying to fight against the fact that things don't last forever is a silly idea. If we want to live in harmony with how things are, like the Stoics believe, we need to accept that everything changes. How do we do that? Epictetus had a simple but really smart piece of advice about how to deal with stuff like possessions, people, and power. He said, if something comes your way, take your share, but don't be greedy. If it goes away, let it. If it hasn't arrived yet, don't get too eager for it. Just wait for it to come to you. Do this with everything: family, a partner, jobs, money, and you'll be someone who enjoys life. He then said that when we're able to say no to things offered to us, we won't just be part of enjoying life, but also part of having control over it. This means living in line with how things are instead of fighting against them. Epictetus wanted to make us stronger against the pain of losing things by changing the way we see the things we love. Instead of believing we own something or deserve to have it, maybe we should see everything we have as borrowed. Instead of saying, "I lost it," say, "I returned it." If your child passes away, think of it as them being returned. The same goes for a spouse or losing your possessions. Even if someone took it away, they're just returning it. It doesn't matter who took it. What matters is that it's not truly yours. Epictetus believed that the only thing we really own is our ability to think. If we owned our kids, partners, or belongings, we couldn't lose them. So, seeing things as borrowed fits reality better because we always have to give them back. Holding tightly onto borrowed things only brings pain, so it's okay to have things and enjoy them as long as we're okay with letting them go at any time. Epictetus also advised us not to cling to what others think of us. We often worry a lot about what people think about us. Some people do anything to be liked by everyone, but why? That's the question. In today's world, not being liked by everyone usually doesn't put our lives at risk. Unlike in ancient times when being accepted by the community was crucial for survival, still, having people like us has its advantages. For instance, being likable makes it easier to make friends, while being attractive helps find a romantic partner. When seen as smart and capable, it increases the chances of getting hired by companies. But according to Epictetus, all these outside factors are less important than our peace of mind. He believed that it's okay to be laughed at, ridiculed, or despised if it means having peace, freedom, and calmness. He suggested being okay with being thought of as foolish. And when someone speaks badly of us, thinking they don't know everything about me, or they wouldn't say just that. At the end of the day, other people's opinions are out of our control, but how much they affect us is within our control. Do we hold onto people's opinions and let them guide us? Or do we learn what we can from them and then let them go? It's about skillfully handling our ability to form opinions about opinions. Remember, it's not the person who insults us that hurts us, but how we see and take those insults. So, stop holding onto outcomes and ideas. Trying to control the universe or change what is will always lead to losing. People often resist what's happening now or what happened in the past, but the more they fight it, the more it hurts. Epictetus used the example of how we treat a servant, even though we expect a servant to obey. He believed it's essential to recognize that a servant isn't obliged to follow our wishes all the time. It's a choice between wanting the servant to always be good or being at peace. We can't expect the world to be without offense. Trying to silence offensive people won't change the fact that someone somewhere will offend others. Therefore, expecting a world without offense while humans are involved isn't realistic. Instead, we can start by being kind ourselves, something within our control. Others may or may not follow suit, but that's not up to us. Epictetus stressed that we can't control the world, but we can control our reactions to it. Someone can insult us, but they can't control how we think or feel about it. Similarly, someone taking our things doesn't determine if we'll be upset. The world's events are beyond our control. If we hold on to them, we lose. But by accepting them and focusing on living well despite life's uncertainties, we win.